Hey there, I'm Ghost. I also go by Art Ghosts online. That's ARTGH0STS. And you can find my work and my socials in the links below. I'm a digital artist, and I use Clip Studio Paint as my program of choice, as you can see here. I've been an artist all my life, but I've really only started freelancing the last couple of years. It's really helped me grow and expand my skills, but I know I still have a lot to learn. On Patreon and Ko-fi, which is also Art Ghosts, I don't just post exclusive art or tier rewards, but I do have some posts as well that kind of delve deeper into my process and share some studies as well. I really want to make a resource that people can learn from and refer to, basically. Much like I learned from people while I was growing up and learning how to initially draw. Being able to see someone else's process and adapt it to your own is something that I think is pretty important. So, welcome to the first in a series of video art studies that I'll be working on, and I encourage you to practice along with me and see what you learn. The first series that I'm going to start with is going to be on the human skeleton for the purposes of anatomy study. I actually took an upper division anatomy course while I was in college for my biology minor. So I spent a fair amount of time memorizing and then promptly forgetting a lot about the human body. So uh, I guess even though I wasn't drawing a lot outside of class at that time, I still feel like it helped me improve my ability to understand what I was looking at when it came to finding references and conceptualizing how that would translate over into my art style. The point is not necessarily is not only to learn how things actually look and work together, but like I said, to translate and then to simplify or stylize it into a stylized form, basically. And you know, I kind of struggled with how to start this study, but considering how much I draw faces, I figured it would be a good idea to start with the skull. Though it's probably one of the more complex structures to learn, in my opinion. There's a lot going on there, but I think it's worth it to take the time to learn what's underneath a face if that's what you're going to be doing a lot of. Um, you might not need to name every bump or hole necessarily, but knowing that it exists, you can then interpret what that would mean in your art style. So I've chosen these three skulls to practice the front, the side, and three-quarter views. You can practice all three along with me or just choose one, whichever one you like, or you can use various other resources like 3D models that you can find online that you can get pretty much every angle you could think of. There's some pretty wild tools that are out there that some are even free. So I recommend checking those out and utilizing them to the best you can, because that's just a great way to learn. Repetition, especially. But we're going to start with the front-facing one, actually. Find whatever brush you want. Instead of using a hard brush, I like to use this somewhat softer brush. Density of paint, bring it up. So we've got a variety of different shapes here. Obviously we've got the case of the skull here. And the way that it kind of arches around the nose here. Or we go into the orbital bones. And right now we're just referencing. It doesn't need to be perfect. Maybe go straight down just to get some symmetrical look here. Maybe go straight across to get some proportions. I might do that over here too, just to see how that'll break it up. Yeah. We've got the nose here. Maybe even fill that in. Maybe not. We'll just get the basic idea down first. So, as we can see here, we've got the skull, and then where the sides, the temples go in, we want to make that clear as well. We can see that that kind of goes out. And then where the eyes and the cheekbones are, that goes over this. These don't need to be exact, but I feel like I've got some major asymmetry going on already. Let's see. How do we fix that? Maybe let's start over, you know? So I think what we want to start with is dividing this up a little bit. We've got that in half. And then right at the eyebrow level, or the top of the eye level, because we've got the skull casing, then we've got our line down, and our line at that mid-eye level, kind of where that bridge of the nose is going to be. And then we want to go up So right now I'm blocking out the idea of these cheekbones here. Just so I kind of have an idea of a shape to follow. And you want to make sure to utilize the flip tool as much as you would like. Sometimes it helps me to simulate that feeling of like turning the page like to the side when you're traditionally drawing, although obviously you can't necessarily flip it. That's more of like this kind of thing. But because I can't necessarily turn my tablet, it helps me to get certain shapes that might be harder for one orientation of my hand. We've got a nice little shape there that we're gonna fill in. And we see these little divots here. And of course, let's get these cheekbones. So these cheekbones are kind of lined up with the base of the nose. And these, as you can see in this picture down here, thin out and wrap around to the back of the skull. So it juts out and around. So we want to kind of imply that a little bit as well. Are we already moving down to these bottom teeth, kinda? Or do we need to go back up to the eyebrow up here? It's kind of hard not to make it look like an alien a little bit. But we got big brains. It's got to be contained. Let's go back to those bottom teeth there. And then he's got these little dots right there. And the jaw connects behind here. Yeah, that looks very off. Doesn't look quite as good. But let me size this down a little bit. I'm going to go back and adjust some things, including the nose. Alright, and there's the front. Let's erase these lines right here. Now, to get to this point still takes a lot of practice and many hours of repetition and looking at things and trying to draw black and white shapes against each other and how that looks in positive or negative space. So don't get discouraged if it doesn't look perfect. Like, I can already see a ton of imperfections here for mine and how I can improve the next time. But I'm not going to dwell on it right now because through the process of drawing it, I've learned something. And I feel like the next time I do it, I can do it a lot better. So to prove that, let's go on to the next one here. This is the side profile. Now, I don't think it's the same skull. I didn't take a look at where exactly I grabbed it from. I just wanted to make sure they all had the same black background. But let's flip it, maybe? I prefer to draw profiles that way. Although there's no nose, so... Let's see. Let's gonna start with a circle here. And we've got the forehead already, and we're gonna go back on the cranium. Oops, my program's saving. And then it goes kind of under like that. And then we've got pieces of the skull that it's broken up into. And I want to just suggest them here. Actually bring that out further. We've actually got the orbital bone here, so we're gonna make the eyebrow go out. And the start of the bridge of the nose. And then back down. Whoops, I messed that up a little bit. And then I also want to get the orbital bone here. And the little temporal, the little bridge between the temporal bone and orbital bone. And then the cheekbone as well. I'm not sure how I'm liking that, so let's try that again. So we've got that there. Cheekbone. And it doesn't need to be perfect, we're just trying to study a very rough idea of it. With more and more practice and repeating this a lot, you can get a lot better. You can go into more detail and just draw the pieces, you can draw the joints, you can really get into the nitty-gritty. So let's see. Okay. So we're going relative based off of the things around it, right? So this hole here, I want to do this bump down here. And I want to shade that in a little bit because it's kind of underneath now. And this up here is where the mandible joins. So we're gonna go straight down. And see how the mandible joins up. Got those back teeth there that I'm gonna just leave looking a little fucked up. And then it kind of expands into this Y shape. So I'm just gonna kind of do that. And then shade that in. Here we go. So again, I can already see things that could be improved upon, like the profile has got more of a slanted shape like that, rather than like that. So maybe I erase and bring the jaw in a little bit. There we go. So let's select that, size it down a little bit, make sure it all fits. Very nice. So as you can see, we've suggested lines. We are looking at structures relative to each other rather than trying to aim for perfection. So it's not going to be perfect because we're not tracing it. We are looking at a reference and trying to learn something from it. What are we trying to learn exactly? Well, we're looking at how these structures act relative to each other, how they connect, and imagining how they move and how the rest of the face kind of exists around it. So we've got now the third skull here. This I think is actually a 3D rendering of a skull, so it's not an actual skull, but you know, why not? It's got that black background, the same off-white color. I think it'll work. So for this one, it's a 3/4 view, which I think is going to be a little bit more difficult in terms of getting some of the detailing. Let's see here. So let's get the cranium shape first, which kind of goes around like that. Got our forehead. Let's actually make this smaller. Got some limited space that we're working with here. We gotta leave room for the mandible. So let's erase that because I feel like that wasn't proportioned out well. Let's do our lines like we did before. Like that. Now, what are we aiming for here? So we're looking at the eye socket here, but I'm not sure how I feel about it. So what I want to do instead... Oops, went too far back. Start with the nose hole. And then we've got the septum in there too. And we actually have this going out a little bit for the bridge of the nose. Hold on. Here we go. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but let's keep going. Because the eye kind of comes out, or the eye socket rather. Nope, I don't like how that looks either. So we've got the eye socket. Let's try this again. That kind of comes out and around. And with the cheekbone, it kind of comes out, down, and around. Kind of shading in the eye socket here. And what do I want to do with that? Because we've got a mouth that comes around here. But I also got to make some room for the other eye socket. It's going to come around like that. Make that top not so rounded. And then we also have that little bridge here. And then this other cheekbone, which is kind of tricky. I think we got it. Actually, that was not as difficult as I anticipated. But, you know, I can already see some things that could use some improving. We've got a little crack, little hairline down each of these. Okay. So you've got the jaw going down that way. Let's actually reduce the size of that a little bit. So let's see, we've got that kind of Y shape right in there. Let's come down right there and wrap around a little bit. So what I'm gonna do here is actually bring it up. Bring it up, make it smaller. And let's see. Let's try to get this cranium shape hammered out. There's the back of the cranium. And these teeth, man. So many of them. We should just, we can opt out, right? Probably not. Alright, so we've got the back teeth coming in. Alright, so I think that's good for this third one. Let me actually adjust the positioning of it a little bit. And we're good. So each of these I can see improvements on, I can see imperfections. But like we've said before, this is about learning something new, and through the process of doing this and seeing those imperfections, you've learned something because you can see where you can improve, and it just takes time for your hands to catch up to your brain sometimes as well. So that's why you have to keep practicing. Now that I've drawn each of these three skulls, what I want to work on now is the next step of quote unquote translating, which I was talking about earlier. Essentially, drawing the face now with the skull in mind, or what we've learned from the skull in mind. What parts stick out? What parts kind of wrap around the others? What is existing underneath the skin? And I think I want to do that by drawing a more gaunt character so we can show off more of the bones underneath the skin. So I'll definitely be making a part 2 of this, utilizing the skulls that we drew from this. So I hope in the meantime you'll continue practicing your skulls, draw some good bones, and show your friends. Take pride in the effort that you're actually putting into your work, because that's the only way you're going to get better, is by making mistakes and learning from those mistakes. And I want to thank you for sitting through a video of me just rambling away about this. I appreciate it a lot because, like I said, I want to kind of create a resource and a reference for people, and have a mixture of shorter posts and longer videos, and we'll see how that kind of comes together. I hope you'll also check out my Patreon and Ko-fi, where I'll be uploading this stuff, but I also have some additional things for my members that pay into different tiers monthly. So you can see exclusive content, you can see monthly sketches, behind the scenes look at a webcomic idea that my friends and I have been brewing in the back of our minds for years now. And you can find all of that at ArtGhosts, ARTGH0STS. And like I mentioned at the top of the video, you can find the links to everything below. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.